just like with Westboro Baptist Church, when they changed their voice to chipmunks, they've changed my voice to a gay voice at times. But this has to be said. I wish the LGBT community, the whites and the racist white-skinned people would just grow up. Okay, but they're not going to, so the people doing this at least will say. So let's just get into it. Let's ask ourselves two important questions here. One, what tree does modern culture come from? And what are the differences between the greater grouping of cultures and the subcultures? So let's take a real brief kind of examination into Western history to understand why they've chosen an immoral society, why they've chosen unfairness, why they've chosen racism, and kind of LGBT racist mocking, like the black faces. These are historically kind of Greek performers, Hollywood performers, historically LGBT people and cultures, right? Gay costume designers and directors and so on and so forth. So why do they keep this kind of white supremacist kind of Greek society, fraternity, LGBT racist harassment going when it's so immature, so disgraceful, so pathetic? What has to do with these questions? What tree does modern culture come from? Modern Western culture. And what are the differences between the greater grouping of cultures and the subcultures? So first of all, Africa is the starting point, but there were many African peoples. Okay, so a couple 100,000 years ago or so. Okay, these people these people came from there and they started migrating out at some point, and they went to the Middle East. At some point, Greece becomes a point of reference, and many of them had curly hair. The pagan and agnostic Greek cultures spread to and influenced Rome. Next, the Romans spread their sexually immoral bloodbath, slave trading, and deception-based idolatry cultures all the way into Northern Europe, even occupying England for hundreds of years as they subdued the groups that they called barbarian groups, the very primitive groups of people. They referred to the other Europeans as barbarians for the most part. They were not doing martial arts with a sound moral and surgical strikes, for example. They were doing barbarian war arts and armored Roman war arts. And a lot of gay people who are sensitive to these things, perhaps more than most people, were racist and started, really harassing black people and African people, okay, because they could not do martial arts, which takes a certain focus and maturity and seriousness, while they chose to be kind of Greek society, kind of fraternity, kind of goofy sort of people, okay, basically, on a spectrum. All right. Let's see here. The governing class of Europe basically believed in sending brutes to sabotage, rape, kill, and plunder while they pretended to be ideal. Also, there was book burning. By the time the West had muskets, Eurocentrism was rampant, and they had been refining their social control techniques and propaganda for thousands of years. I think we can all agree that their war spirit, like Russia, is evil, especially because of their leadership. In 1776, America was founded by native-killing slave owners, and many were not Christians, and the Christians were basically racist. They would rape Native Americans and make funny faces, like when they raped white women as well, and slave women. They would make funny faces and act like fraternities who are hazing, and this is part of where the hazing spirit comes from. Hazing, right? A fog. People often get thrown off when they're raped, and they go into brain fogs, and they feel dead inside, and so on and so forth. Europe had used Christianity for centuries to confuse people about how evil their spirit is. They talk about use, confuse, and abuse. This is why it is said that all roads lead to Rome, and that Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome is also said to have killed Jesus. And Jupiter, who is Rome's equivalent to Zeus, and Baal, okay, is Baal's Roman equivalent. Okay. Isaiah 46 speaks of Baal as an evil competitor deity. Okay, the Bible goes on and on about how Baal is evil. The Bible is by Baal. Baal is also a name for Baal, even used in the various Bible translations. Okay, so the Bible is by Baal. In fact, we get the word biblos, right? Meaning book, I believe. And the lady of Byblos is Balat. So it's very clear cut that where the word Bible comes from is from Baal's consort, Balat, okay, who is called the lady of Byblos. That's where they get the word book. Just like in psyche, where psychology comes from a pagan deity named Psyche, and pagans were using psychology, the pagan scientists, and it evolved into modern psychology. It has a pagan basis, and there's still pagan holidays and pagan social norms. Okay. So the Bible is Bible, and aka Baal, and the response, right? The countercultures are also roads that lead to Roman cultural essences and sources. In both Greece and Rome, the theater and ritual madness were popular. You see, hell is said to be for the ill, right? Jesus said he was sent by God to the sick, not to the healthy. That's why he was not in West Africa. Okay, the source of Royal African Falcon martial arts, and we see that in Amos 9:7, in Genesis 41:45, the Bible concedes that the Cushites were the real natural order of God. We see it also in Genesis 10, where Cush was a mighty warrior before the Lord. Was he an ill person, afraid to man up, afraid to stand firm for what is right? No, he was a mighty warrior before the Lord, when Babylon was great, great especially in the eyes of the Lord. Now, I'm not racist, I'm part white, but these are the truths, okay? We see that about 100 years after America was founded by racists and slave owners and rapists and deists and people in secret societies like Freemasonry, okay, and the Odd Fellows and Knights of Malta and all these people's societies would emerge. You have the Civil War, and that's when the height of fraternities in this country is said to be. But really, there's countless members of fraternities and social groups and military groups, police groups, corporate groups, etc., which are basically the continuity of those fraternities. Just like the Klan was just another fraternity. Okay, these people, it wasn't just the Klan hanging people, it was people in fraternities and social groups, and groups behind the scenes and so on and so forth. Okay, so the Civil War ends in the 1860s, about 100 years after the country's founded. Okay, and the height of fraternities is the late 1800s and early 1900s. World War I occurs, World War II occurs, all the mind control operations. These are the fraternity guys like George Bush and Skull and Bones, John Kerry. They run against each other. So, and fraternities are based on historical European culture, not Christian culture, but European pagan culture. So, it's pretty clear. Why does gang stalking occur? Why do they pretend I'm mentally ill? In the pagan tradition of psyche, where you get the word psychiatry and psychology. Okay, psyche meaning soul, but psyche also the deity, who's raped by Pan, who's raped by Cupid, and so on and so forth. And Zeus rapes Callisto and all these people, right? You know, the rape of Europa, the rape of the Sabines, rape of Ganymede, and on and on and on and on. It's said to rape Hera, and on and on and on. You know, in some versions, rapes Persephone instead of Hades, and so on and so forth. Okay, because it is a rape, murder, mockery culture. Now, you can imagine there's a bunch of bootlickers who want to pretend that I'm crazy. Oh, he's crazy, like Tupac says. He's calling me a madman because I'm strong and bold, and something to the effects of I expose the lies they've told. Thank you.